Hey guys, welcome back to Sparkman Homestead. My name is Krista and we are on week 6 of the 3 reverse pantry challenge. And you know what? I'm actually now kind of starting to find it to be a little bit more difficult. It's not necessarily like the meats, it's just trying to keep like a good variety for meals and trying to just find new stuff to make. Because we are on our second week, I am kind of on a repeat now of some meals that we had already made last month. And we just do that. We always rotate our favorite meals. So tonight is something newer. I haven't made this yet last month. We have some leftover Christmas ham. So I am just going to fry that ham up. I made a loaf of sourdough bread this morning. So what I'm gonna do is cut that sourdough bread up. I'm gonna take some of our home canned bruschetta and I'm going to put that on top of the bread. I'm gonna put some Parmesan or some mozzarella cheese on that. And then I'm gonna throw it in the oven and get it nice and warm. And then I'm going to top it with some of this stuff. So I'm just pretty much making like bruschetta as a side. And because this is loaded full of tomatoes, I'm counting this as our vegetable. So that's going to be our vegetable side. And then I have some hash browns here that I purchased from Azure Standard. They just come in a 5-pound bag. So I am just going to air fry some of these also to go with it. So it's kind of just like a Maj Podge meal. I'm just kind of grabbing little things that we have and just making it into a meal. So I have my oven preheating up to get up to 400. I'm gonna get that bread sliced. I've already preheated my air fryer, so I just need to season those hash browns and get them put in there. And also, I didn't even mention what day we're on. We are on day 38. So today is February the 7th. So we are starting our new week. Yesterday, I actually did film a video for you guys and you guys would have already seen that before you see this video. So that will not, Monday will not be included in this video. So let's get started and get supper ready because it is almost 6 o'clock. It was absolutely gorgeous out. It is, like I said, almost 6 o'clock and it's still 61 outside. So nice outside. It's a nice break from the cold weather. So we are just kind of just getting in now and just getting settled. So that's why we're eating a little bit later than normal. These are completely frozen in a block. So I kind of had to smash them. And they are needing to get used up because I don't know if you can see or not, but they're starting to get freezer burn. So we need to get them used up. That should be, I'll make just a little bit more. Take some leftovers. So I'm gonna leave these at the top of the freezer because these have to start to get used because like I said, they're getting freezer burnt and I don't wanna waste them. So I'm gonna put them at the top of my freezer and that way I'll know that I'll need to incorporate these in the next couple of meals. Right, so we're gonna get these pre-seasoned. I'm just gonna put a pretty good, that's probably way too much. Well, it's already been done. Oh well. Okay, so we're gonna put some onion powder in here. Put some garlic powder, some ground mustard. I don't need to use that spoon anymore. Some smoked paprika, a touch of cumin. Okay, we'll get this all stirred up. Okay, I got my tray out. Put them in here. Some nice spread out. And we will put this on 390. We'll do this for about 12 minutes and then we'll check them. Just going to get our stove turned on so that we can just put these on here. We can add some avocado oil. I'm really missing the one I broke because it poured so much nicer. This stuff just kind of, as you witness there, just dumps it out. We'll get that frying up. Hopefully you guys can hear me with the air fryer and the ham. So I'm just gonna get these cut up into some slices. I know traditionally you are supposed to have this on a baguette, but I just didn't make a baguette today. I don't actually have the baking pans to make a baguette. It's on my list. I really want to get some. But so we're gonna just have it on regular sourdough tonight. I had to turn the ham down because it was burning. You know what? I think what we'll do is we'll put the cheese down first. I have some leftover cheese in here that I've already pre-cut when we did our burgers. I'll have to cut some more mozzarella. Okay, I just actually want to pause this air fryer, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shake. That should be good for cheese. When we're in garden season, I'm going to do a video with you guys because I am definitely making this again, and I'm going to make a lot of it. I love it. But the recipe is actually in the ball blue book, the canning ball blue book. I'm going to put lots of tomatoes on it because this is our vegetable for tonight. Okay, and now we're going to get these in the oven, and I'm going to say maybe 15-20 minutes they'll need to cook. You know what, I forgot to put salt on these when I put them in the air fryer, so I just put some salt on them right now, but they are done. That's what they look like. They're delicious. And then the ham is also done. This just needed to get heated up because it was already pre-cooked ham. I just wanted to quickly give it a quick fry. So that is all done, and so now we're just waiting on the bread. I took these out because I'm pretty sure that these are done. I don't want them to burn. So I'm just gonna take some of this balsamic glaze. It's kind of like, this is how we made the grilled cheese, but we're just kind of doing it like an open face. And I'm not doing basil on it. So we'll just put some of that on there. And then we will cut these in half. Make them easier to eat. Oh, so delicious. There we go. So that's our supper. I will come back and show you what my plate looks like. There is the supper. It's really, like I said, you can tell that the challenge is getting near, well, that we're halfway through it because dinners are starting to get a little bit more inventive, and I'm really starting to use like leftovers. So I think I'm gonna have a little bit of this with my ham, but that is it. I'm super looking forward to these though. That is day 38, all done. Okay, we are day 39, and today we are having salad. I'm so excited. Today's supper is going to be some chicken taco salad. So I have leftover chicken from when we did the roasted chicken on Sunday, and we have some lettuce that we bought at our farmer's market. And I am going to make up a batch of some Southwest salad dressing to go on top of it. I need to get some cheese shredded, and I need to actually get this kind of warmed up. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take some chicken, and I just shredded this all up, and I'm gonna take some taco seasoning, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on here. And we're just gonna stir it in, and then I'm gonna actually add it to a frying pan, and we're just gonna add a little bit of water, and we're just gonna get it heated up and kind of get a nice sauce, like a taco sauce going with it. But I wanna get this stirred in, so I'm just gonna, I'll turn this on. I'm gonna have to add some oil to this because this obviously has no fat in it, so we just need to get a little bit of that going in there. I'm gonna add a bit of avocado oil. Get that heated up in there. Let's get this chicken added into here. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of water in this bowl and then add it to this. I have the heat on about a medium right now. So I'm just gonna let this heat up and let some of this sauce kind of thicken up. I might add just a touch bit more water because I do want it to have a nice thick sauce. We're just gonna leave that and let that heat up. I'm gonna grate up this whole block of cheese. Whatever we don't use, which will probably be a lot of it, we'll just put it in the fridge. I like having already done shredded cheese in the fridge. We need to get our lettuce cleaned off now. I pulled the chicken off. It is all done. It's nice and thick. So we're just gonna set that aside and get this all cleaned up. And then we'll get started on our salad dressing. I'm just pulling the center part, like kind of the heart of the lettuce. I'm just peeling those off so that we just have the leaves in our salad. We are gonna get the salad dressing started now. So I'm gonna add about a cup of mayonnaise. Maybe over a cup. Then we're gonna add about 3 tablespoons of lime juice. We'll leave it out just in case we wanna add more. Just quickly kind of stir that. So we need a 1/4 teaspoon of chipotle powder. Again, approximate measurements is what I'm doing here. And then approximately 1/2 teaspoon of dill. Wish we had some fresh dill. 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. 1 teaspoon of onion powder. About 1/8 of cayenne pepper. If you don't like the heat, you could definitely omit it. I'm not even gonna really add very much to it. 2 teaspoons of chili powder. And if you didn't actually have the chipotle powder, you could add just more chili powder. Because sometimes chipotle powder is a little bit hard to find. Guys, I have a little tiny cut on my finger and that lime juice got on it and ouch. Whew, it's really hurting right now. 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. This is really nice because it adds a nice smoky flavor to it. And 1 teaspoon of cumin. Just add a touch more because it's really yummy. And then a little bit of salt, so about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And this is optional. I like to add it in. You can add in 1/2 teaspoon of taco seasoning. We'll probably go about a teaspoon. We're just gonna mix this all together. And I left the lime juice out because I like to use it just to kind of, if it's too thick, I like the lime juice just to thin it out. You could always add like a cream or milk also to this to thin it out if you don't like a thicker sauce, because you see how thick it is. This is kind of like a dip consistency right now. I'm probably gonna thin it out with some lime juice. Give it a taste test. That's good. I might add a little bit of cream to this to thin it out. Let's add a bit of cream to it. It thinned it out a little bit. I didn't want to keep adding lime juice because it's already at like a really good lime flavor, and if I keep adding it, it's just going to make it way too tart. So the cream or milk is a good option because it makes it a little bit more creamier. I think that's good. All right, let's get these salads assembled. So there wasn't a lot of lettuce in that tiny little thing. So what I'm doing is, just for myself, I'm just going to put some kale in mine because I don't mind raw kale. Just going to take it and then just make it into like tiny little strips. Perfect. All done mine. Just gonna put some chicken on top here. You could use these and make nachos with this shredded chicken, and it would be like a taco chicken nacho, which would be really, really good. So I'm just gonna take a couple of these tortilla chips and just kind of crush them over top of this. And then we'll just put a little tiny bit of cheese on. And then now, put some salad dressing on. And you can definitely, if you do want heat, you can add a little bit of this hot sauce. This is just some tomatillo jalapeno hot sauce that we made. I'm just gonna put a tiny little bit on, and then I can just mix it in. So that is my supper tonight, and I am so looking forward to this meal tonight. So that is day 39, all done. We are on day 41 of the pantry challenge. Today is February the 10th. So tonight for supper, I was going to make a hamburger soup. And then I took the recipe out, and then as the day went on, I'm like, I don't really feel like having hamburger soup. But I have some ground beef that I have had defrosted in the fridge. Now this is its second day, so I need to get that used. So I just went into Pinterest and I put in ground beef recipes, and then this one popped up. It is called a homemade hamburger helper. It looks pretty good, and it looks pretty healthy. I use that word loosely. I mean, I guess it actually, no, it does look healthy. So I'm gonna use ground beef in this. I would imagine that you can sub it and use a leaner meat like a ground turkey. That would probably work really well as well. So we're gonna give it a try. I will link this recipe down for you guys. If it turns out awesome, then we get another meal for our rotation. And if you guys like it, perfect. I'll give you the link so you can give it a try. So let's get started. We need to get this 1 pound of ground beef browned up. And I've got the heat on about a medium. Just get this browned up. Okay, we have this ground beef cooked. So what we're gonna do is we are just going to drain it. This particular one isn't as fat as they normally are. It says to reserve a couple tablespoons of the fat, but I'm not getting any, which is awesome. So at this point in the recipe, it says that you are to cook onions in this pan for 5 minutes and then add garlic, and you're supposed to use the bacon grease to cook it. We don't use onions in this house, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just skipping right over that step. But again, guys, I'm gonna link this recipe for you because I want you to be able to give it a try. So I've turned the heat off, but this pan is definitely still hot. So we are going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour to this, and we are gonna cook it for about a minute, and then we are going to slowly stir in some beef broth. I'm gonna turn the heat back on. That's 2 tablespoons of flour. Stir it around to get that flour kind of taste off of it. And I'm also trying to get the bits off the bottom of that. Okay, I'm gonna switch utensils and go to a whisk because when making a roux, I always like to whisk it. So we've slowly added 2 cups of beef broth, and now what we need to do is we just need to bring this to a boil. So we have that to a boil. We are now going to add 8 ounces of tomato sauce. This is just some of our home canned tomato sauce. I'm excited to finally start using this. And we're gonna add a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. We're going to add a teaspoon of seasoning salt, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, And because we're not using onions in this, we are going to add a couple teaspoons of granulated onion. And we have to add the garlic in, which is, it says 1 clove of garlic. So we're just gonna probably put in like maybe half a teaspoon of this Costco garlic. We're gonna give this a quick stir, and then we have to add 2 cups of pasta into this. Now the recipe does call to use like a small shelled pasta. We don't have any, but the recipe also notes that if you don't have the pasta shells, that you can use an elbow pasta. So that's what we're gonna use. We definitely have some of that available. Very much looking and smelling like a spaghetti sauce. Let's get 2 cups. And this is all we are using, is just a small macaroni. So we want to get these all stirred in, and then we're going to put a lid on this and cover it for 12 to 15 minutes, it says, but we need to get this heat turned down just a little bit because it's starting to kind of stick. And you know what, guys? I think I'm going to add a little bit more tomato sauce to this, just to get it a touch bit more runny. Just a touch bit more. Calls for 8 ounces of tomato sauce, and I put in exactly 8 ounces, but I'm feeling like because I accidentally spilled a little bit more pasta in, that we need a little bit more cooking liquid. Okay, so 12 to 15 minutes it says until the pasta is cooked through. Okay, update. I have been coming back and stirring this like the recipe says, and these are pretty rock hard still. I have come back and added way more tomato sauce. I even had to come back and add some water because this was totally evaporated. Again, these were not cooked and it was sticking to the bottom of the pot. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. The recipe, I mean, so far it smells really yummy, but it's just the cooking times are a little off, and same with some of the measurements. So just to let you know, you probably will need about a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce in this and not 8 ounces. So I'm gonna keep monitoring this and coming back and stirring it as it needs to get stirred because I don't want it to stick to the bottom again. So I tasted these, and these are about an al dente. Guys, this meal so far, the way it's looking, it is looking like this is a very, very good budget-friendly meal that will feed a big family. So I am liking this for the budget so far. I had to taste a little bit of it to test out the noodles, and it tastes good so far. It just pretty much tastes like tomato sauce because that's pretty much what we've added in it. What we're gonna add now is half a cup of heavy cream. I would imagine, again, if you're trying to be very budget friendly with this, you could probably use a milk or a half and half with this also. And then we're gonna add 2 cups of shredded cheese. And it calls for a shredded cheddar cheese. So I have 2 cups of it shredded in here. We will just add that to this. And then it says just to stir it until the cheese is all melted. I also really want to add some salt to this because it is lacking in salt, but we will do that when we add the ground beef back. Okay, it just says stir for about, stirred until the cheese is melted, or about 2 minutes. So now we're going to add the ground beef back to this. Get that all stirred in, and I'm gonna season it with some salt because it is definitely lacking in salt. It is most likely because my tomato sauce that I'm using has absolutely no salt in it, so that could definitely play a fact. Also, the beef broth that I'm using, again, no salt in that one either. So those are definitely factors that play in that. Get a clean fork and give this a test. I'm liking it, guys. I'm liking it. That is it. That is all done. That's literally all that took. This is, again, This is a really good meal. I like the taste of it. And I think Steven's gonna like it. So I made a loaf of homemade bread. So let me just get that cut up and get this plated. Steven is actually still at work right now. He's working late tonight, so he is not quite home yet, but this is a really easy meal to reheat also, which is another bonus to this. So I'm just reading the notes on the recipe. Usually I actually read the notes before I even attempt to make the recipe, and I also read comments on recipes because that usually gives you a pretty good indication of what the recipe is like. The notes on here say that this dish is rich. If you need more liquid in your pasta, you can add a little bit of water or beef broth. It also says you can substitute any type of pasta, but try to keep it a similar size for the liquid ratio to work out. I used, again, the same size. I used what she recommended in the recipe, and that liquid was way off. So again, I had to add water to that, and I also had to add about twice the amount of tomato sauce that it called for. But guys, it is a really, really yummy dish. Again, I put a lot of salt on the end because my beef broth and my tomato sauce didn't have any salt in it. So that's a win for tonight. I'm super happy, and this recipe is definitely going to go into my favorites on my Pinterest. So yeah, that is it, and I'll show you what it looks like all plated up. There's the deliciousness. My bread and butter, and then because we have so much eggs, I made my favorite custard, so we're gonna have that for dessert. But that's supper, and that is day 41, which I cannot believe we are at day 41. Guys, we made it to day 42, and tonight I was actually going to do meatloaf. Just turning this on here. I was gonna do meatloaf tonight, but we were outside today making raised garden beds all day, and I was actually, well, Steven was making them, and I was actually cleaning out our kind of our shop area. I was getting all of the stuff together for when we get our meat birds in. So we were outside all day, and then we were out playing a little bit of basketball. So I just did not have motivation to make any meatloaf. So what I'm gonna make tonight is the most insanely quickest meal. I have made it before, and Steven likes it. I think it's just okay, but Steven likes it, so it's fine. So we are just gonna get this meat browned up in here, and then we will add everything else. Might as well tell you what we're making. So tonight for supper, we are making what's called a Beefy Tortellini Skillet. I got this recipe from Taste of Home. I will link it for you guys below. It's an easy recipe. It says the total prep time is 20 minutes, and it really literally is 20 minutes. We are going to use some of our Costco cheese tortellini that we have, and this is 1 pound of ground beef that we have browning up in here. The other ingredients that we need is some beef bouillon, so I'll just be using this stuff. And then we need some Montreal seasoning, Montreal steak seasoning. I just made my own, super easy to do that. Then we also need 1 cup of shredded Italian cheese blend. I don't have that, so I just shredded up some cheddar cheese because that's what we have. So let's get this browning. And then what we're gonna do is once that is brown, no longer pink and crumbly, we're gonna drain it. And then we are going to stir in our steak seasoning and some water, but we'll come back and do that. The other thing that I am getting done tonight, because I, again, was outside all day and didn't get a chance to do it, I'm actually going to get some granola made because I am running low on mine, and I like to have that. I eat that every day for breakfast. So I'm gonna get that made with you guys also right now. So for my granola, I just need to get about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of coconut oil. I just need to get it melted. So I am just going to quickly put this into the microwave and get this melted. I don't have a set recipe to link for you guys because this oatmeal, I just kind of put whatever I feel like putting in it that week. It's different usually all the time, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm guessing that that's the amount of oil we need. And then for the oatmeal, I am just using a old-fashioned rolled oat, and I usually just like put it in like 4 to 5 cups of it, and I want to get that oxygen absorber out of there. That is not yummy to eat. So about 4 to 5 cups of rolled oats. Then I just have some walnut pieces here. These are just already broken up pieces, and I usually put in about 1.5 cups of walnuts. I put it in a bigger bowl. I also have the beef draining over there. I want to get this in the oven before I finish supper. So I am probably putting about 1/4 cup of just some chia seeds in this. I don't put a lot of chia seeds in, just a little bit. Just for a little bit of fiber. And then I'm going to put in probably like 2, maybe 1.5 teaspoons of pink Himalayan salt. And then I'm gonna be putting in about 2 heaping teaspoons, so that's probably like a tablespoon of cinnamon. I have used all different types of seasoning in this. You can really use anything. I've used pumpkin spice before, and that was super delicious. I've used almonds in this. Any type of nut would do well. Okay, so we have 2/3 cup of this melted coconut oil. We're just gonna pour that in. Just wanna get all of the oatmeal or all the oats coated. And I like to add a little bit of avocado oil to this also. It kind of helps crisp it up a little bit. And I probably just put in maybe 1 to 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. And I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup of maple syrup, just this stuff from Costco. And then about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Maybe 3. Then we're just gonna stir this in. I have my oven preheated. I don't know if I said this or not. I have it preheated at 375. Just wanna make sure that everything is coated, because sometimes these pieces of oats don't get completely coated in this bowl. I have a lined baking sheet here. We're just gonna empty it out onto here. So we have it all spread out on the cookie sheet, and we are going to put it in. And we're gonna set the timer for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we're gonna come give it a quick little flip, get everything kind of moved around a little bit, put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Actually, we'll put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes. And then we're gonna take it out and we're gonna let it cool. Once it is cooled, you can add coconut to it, you can add raisins, you can add dried fruit, add whatever you like. You can, even once it's cooled, you can even add chocolate chips to it. What I have actually been adding to mine, I put about a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of this in my granola every single morning, and it tastes amazing. It gives it a little bit of a chocolatey hint. I really, really like it. So that is something fun you can also put in it. Okay, we need to get back to making supper. We have it all drained out, so we're gonna add it back to the frying pan. And we are going to add, the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of Montreal seasoning steak. Montreal steak seasoning, sorry, not seasoning steak. I just added more than that. I probably added about a teaspoon in there. I'm just gonna get this mixed in. Then we're gonna add 1 cup of water. And then it says to add 1 teaspoon of beef bouillon granules. We don't have that, so we're just going to, I should have dissolved this in the water. We're gonna add a teaspoon of this stuff, and it's like a liquid kind of, so we're just gonna mix it in with the water in here and just get it all incorporated. I might actually end up adding a little bit more water. I think last time I made this recipe, I did add more water to it. So we need to bring this to a boil. Just turned it up a little bit. I have it sitting on about medium, but my stovetop, it really, medium is almost like a high on my stovetop. Just trying to scrape off some of these bits that are on the bottom also. And we are going to get one of these packages open. All you do is you add the frozen tortellini into this, and this, the liquid cooks this. So I'm gonna get this open so it's ready just to kind of go in. Our timer went off. So we have to take the granola out, and then we're just going to use a spatula and just kind of turn it like this. And then we're gonna put it back in the oven for another, I'm gonna say 12 to 15 minutes. This is at a boil now. Again, I'm scraping all that stuff off the bottom of it. We are gonna add our frozen tortellini, and then it says to return it to a boil. It doesn't say anything about covering it, and I can't remember if I did last time. I would think that you had to cover it. And I haven't added any extra water. We'll just see how it ends up. We're not gonna add any right now. We'll just do what the recipe says to do. Okay, let's bring this back to a boil. Okay, I can hear that kind of boiling away. I am actually going to add just a touch bit more water. I'm gonna say make maybe a tablespoon more water. Now what we have to do is we have to reduce the heat, cover it, and we need to let this cook for about 4 minutes or until the tortellini are tender. All right, let's take a look at this. It is looking like it's ready. I'm serious, this is all this recipe takes. It is such an easy recipe to make. And then all we're gonna do is take it off the heat and add 1 cup of cheese to it. Let the cheese melt on it. I'm just gonna taste one of these and make sure that they're done. Better take this off the heat. We are gonna add 1 cup of shredded cheese to this. I'm guessing that's probably over 1 cup. And then it says just to cover it and let it stand. And what you're doing by covering it is you're just melting the cheese. So we're just gonna let this cheese melt. I'm gonna get my granola finished. When it comes out of the oven, I like to just kind of give it an additional toss. And I literally, just because you can see the steam coming off of it, I just leave this sit for probably half an hour to 1 hour. And then I just put it in these half-gallon mason-sized jars. And this batch usually lasts me about a week to a week and a half. Because again, I eat this every single morning. And my serving, I usually, about a cup I use of it. So it does last quite some time for me. I absolutely love it. I put frozen fruit on this, like I thaw the fruit out, but I put fruit on it, put some yogurt on it, I put those cocoa nibs in it, and this is just like a parfait every day for breakfast. It's so delicious, and it's pretty easy on the sugar too because I use maple syrup in it, so it's not too sweet. You could always add honey to this as well, like when you're making it in the morning. That would be delicious on that too. So that granola is done, and we're just waiting for this to get all heated up and that cheese to get nice and gooey and melty, and then I will come back and show you my plate. Guys, tonight I was so tempted to go out for like fast food. Not even fast food, just like order Mexican and go pick it up. Because we were out in the garden all day and I was just like, I don't want to eat. I said to Steven, eat whatever you want. Like I was ready to eat granola for supper. But I mustered through and I'm like, I know I need to make granola, so if I'm already in the kitchen making granola, I might as well just make this really quick, easy meal for you guys. And like, I really wish that I was showing you guys more elaborate meals on like trying to use stuff like fancy stuff, but this is really how we eat. Like supper time comes and I'm tired from my day and I like to have quick meals. So that's kind of what you guys have been seeing a lot of lately, and it's gonna get worse in gardening season. Like come gardening season, I am going to need some quick meals, but I think I'm actually going to start to make some freezer meals with you guys. I'm gonna do a couple videos of doing that because I know in like March and May, when I have to get stuff planted, I have zero energy at the end of the day. So I think that is what I'm gonna do, is some freezer meals. But for now, we're having this quick meal. It is good. It's a good meal, and like I said, Steven likes it. I'm gonna let this melt, and then I'll come back and show you guys it all plated up. So this is what it looks like. I have not gotten into it yet, but I wanted to show you with the cheesies all melted on it. Gonna eat it in a bowl, but that's what it looks like plated up. No veggies tonight because just this being made was enough. So that is supper for, what are we on? Day 42. That was week 6 all done. It was a pretty good week. My meals are definitely getting a lot more inventive. I'm really trying to go through my freezers a lot more. I have a whole menu plan up on my fridge, and lately I have been really going off of that plan. I'll get the meat out, but then I'm just not feeling like what I had planned for, so I kind of steer away from what I had originally planned. And a lot of it is due to me just being really exhausted by the end of the day. So my meals are really tending to be a lot more quick meals. Like I said also, I think I am going to be making a couple of videos with you guys, just kind of some freezer meals, because I know once the height of planting season kind of kicks into high gear, I am going to just really not even want to do anything but sit on the couch. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do a couple of videos with you guys, just kind of some freezer meals, so I'm going to be researching a couple of those. But again, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really greatly appreciate it. I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.